we are looking at Nigeria 62. Tomorrow, being the first day of October 2022, Nigeria will be celebrating our 62nd anniversary, independence anniversary. All right, so let me give the floor to Mr. Festus Adebayo. How has the housing sector fared? 62 years.
62? I try to see a man who is 62 years old and see what he has done. And then look at Nigeria at 62 and see how Nigeria has fared, especially in the housing sector. 62 years, not too bad. After all, we have Club Banana Island, we have Hasoko in Abuja, we have Maitama, we have Ikeja in Lagos, we have Victoria Island. Those fine places where those burgesses are staying. And we also still have massacre in Abuja. We have slum in Lagos where people are still living on the water. I'm aware people are still living under the bridges in Oshodi, in Lagos. The same thing is happening in Abuja. It's also happening in Lagos. So, to start with, we have done well in building houses for those that really can't afford the houses. In the area of those who cannot afford the houses, we have not done so much. We have not done so much. These are the areas we need to look at as we celebrate 62. At 62, our mortgage system is still not working. I'm not sure any Nigerian can work, and every Nigerian can work to any mortgage bank and assessment. At 62, our climate change is affecting. I'm happy my president is here, who I just told us that even at 62, we don't even have the figure of the number of housing deficits. At 62, we don't have generally accepted figure of housing deficit. But sincerely speaking, private sector have done a lot in the area of housing. Kudos to them. And we need to give a lot of talk to the government. And they need to do more. This is my assessment of Nigeria at 62. More needs to be done, especially for those who cannot afford the house.
While you were speaking, you talked about the government, that the government has not really done well when it comes to the provision of low-cost houses for the low-income earners. You mentioned places like Masaka and the likes. So what do you think are the problems why the government is not really doing this, and what solutions do we have to that?
I will start with, that's no political to give housing the prominence it deserves. Housing is health. Housing is productivity. Housing is a human right. Housing has been used in advanced countries to turn around the economy. Nigeria at 62 cannot boast of the real estate sector, housing sector, contributing as much as 10% to the GDP. So the leadership problem is there. It is the leadership problem that make our mortgage system not working. It is the leadership problem that make our National Assembly members to have been there several times, 8 assembly, 7 assembly, and none of them is looking at those outstanding bills in the National Assembly. The Land Use Act have been criticized. Nobody to look into it, whatever earlier we say. It is the lack of leadership that made Nigeria not to accept one person to jail. Involvement in building collapse. Building has been collapsing almost every week in Lagos. From the synagogue down, in the last 2-3 months we have recorded about one ransom. It is the leadership that made us not to have gotten somebody in prison. If somebody had been in prison, I know Nigeria, they'd be more careful. But when they don't get anybody as a scapegoat, they continue. It is lack of leadership that made those so-called followers who are in real estate. It's that lack of leadership that made them to be defrauding people. People work very hard, get 20 million and pay to them a subscription for a house, and nobody, no regulator. It is also the lack of leadership that made the Federal Ministry of Wealth and Housing to still be involved in direct construction in the present century. And it is that lack of leadership that made them to be selling one bedroom for 7.2 million. So we really need to address the problem of leadership. As my president said, the leaders are brought from before leadership. So everybody in Nigeria is waiting for his turn. And until that issue, this value system is addressed, and our interest to develop our housing, mortgage sector is addressed, it is the leadership problem that make our professional bodies that used to be vibrant in 1960s up to 1970s that make them not to be vibrant again. It is the leadership problem that make all our presidential aspirants not to have told us what exactly they want to do in the area of housing those people who cannot afford to build a house or own a house for themselves. That is the status at 62. The leadership issue must be addressed. The value system must be addressed. The professionals in the sector must also wake up. These are the issues. Where we say leadership problem is the problem, we must look into it as we move from 62 to 63.
What's your message to the electorate?
I want to appeal to electorate to please be sensitive of what these politicians are telling them. And I also want to use this opportunity to call on stakeholders in the housing industry. I know I've been attending so many conferences, workshops, we've been saying all sorts of things. We have a lot of housing policies, some of which are not being implemented. And that's the reason why somebody said that the problem we have is not really about the policies, even laws. It's about the enforcement, it's about the implementation. The time has come that the professional bodies have to encourage their members to go into politics, so that we can have opportunity to implement some of those policies, laws that those people that will mistakenly voted into power are not looking at. The president of Kenya today, during the course of his election, he stated clearly, put housing as a priority. He said, I'm going to do so. I'm not just going to do it. This is how I am going to do it. When one government was coming, they promised they would do 1 million houses. But we Nigerians forgot to ask questions. We forgot to engage them. We forgot to ask, how do you intend? Do you have idea of how much the government has, how much is necessary? How do you intend to do the mortgage? We didn't do that. So I am charging the electorate to get more enlightened. Do little about sentiment of religion, sentiment of tribe, all these things. We should downplay them and go more in engaging them. If you don't have access to them, engage those who have access to them. That you need answers to all these questions. They should address us on it, on how they intend. Everything that the President Ruto promised, as soon as he was elected, that the business has started. What I promised the electorate, I am going to do it. In the area of housing, he started mentioning region, locations where the business is going to take place. If we don't get involved, Nigeria will continue to be the way it is. Things must change. Those best brain must not pick interest in the running of Nigeria. There are various levels of participation. You don't need to be on ballot box. You can just again be involved in enlightening people, educating people, That is the way to go.